everybody. Just another video as we proceed through topic 5. This one's specifically talking about the slope of a line. And this one's really going to be focused on calculation. How can the slope of the line be calculated using shape or using coordinates? So from our other lessons, please remember that slope is a ratio, remember, which is typically written as a fraction, of vertical change to horizontal change. Slope can be calculated by counting the number of units increased or decreased in the y-axis, which is the rise, and the number of units increased, decreased on the x-axis, the run, and then writing a proportion. Okay. So the example that I want to give you is rise over run. Okay. But really what we're looking at is the change in y values over the change in x values. Now, when we are given 2 points, we can literally put that information into a formula, and then using that formula, we can calculate the slope. Okay. Here are the 2 points that I want to use for this example. Okay. So notice the first coordinate pair is going to have a y1, or I'm sorry, an x1 and a y1. The second coordinate pair, x2, y2. Then notice in the formula, y is the numerator, and it's 2 minus 1. X is the denominator, and it's 2 minus 1. So I want to go through this really, really carefully and practice the labeling. The labeling is going to save you. Okay. So for example, if I did one where point 1 was -2, -2. Okay. And point 2 was 3, 1. So those points are just on a coordinate graph. Notice that point 1, okay, and point 2, because I'm also going to label these a different way. We're going to call this one x1. We're going to call this side y1. We're going to call this one x2. Now notice this is not an exponent. We're not using it that way. This is a subset number or sub number, and we're just using it to mark which one it is. And we're going to mark this one y2. So if the formula, just copying right from here, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now I can put the numbers in instead of the formula. Every single time you guys do these problems, I want you to label the coordinates. I want you to write down the formula. Eventually, you will grow out of it, but probably not in 8th grade. So I really, really want you to go slow, label everything. It will help you so much with accuracy. Because now I'm going to put in the numbers. y2 is 1. y1 is -2. So minus -2. Okay. Over x2 is 3 minus x1 is negative 2. And no, I didn't pick crazy easy numbers because it's important to see that that's not how it works. We don't always get crazy easy numbers. Okay. Now notice I went with the colors as well. So you're seeing y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1 in a ratio or fraction setup. Well, 1 minus negative 2 is actually 1 plus 2. 3 minus negative 2 is actually 3 plus 2. So our slope here is 3/5. Okay. Which means rise 3, run 5. Really important. Okay. Very, very important that you remember which thing you need to do in your actions. Now, that calculation is not the only way to figure out slope. Sometimes we have a picture of the graph and we can literally use our counting skills. So we can also go with something like this. Okay. And in something like this, I can look and see this is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so my y-axis is being counted by ones. My x-axis, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that one's being counted by ones. Please always double check that. Sometimes people count by fives or whatever. So on this one, between the dots, I rise 2 and I run 1. So if it's rise over run, I'm rising 2, running 1. Slope is 2. Notice. Isn't that where slope should be in the formula? Okay. Well, let's double check our work. 1, 2, rise. 1, run. Yep, my slope is definitely 2. I'm going to go up 2 spaces or 2 units for every 1 that I go over. And we work up and down, left to right. Okay. Now this one has a negative slope. I know it's negative because it's going downhill. Okay. This one's always also a little bit tougher because it doesn't cross right on exact points very well. And there are reasons for that. Okay. So you could use these numbers, okay, when the points aren't clear. It's just a little bit less than 4 or it's a little bit more than 6. Instead, you could use these numbers and your formula to find the slope. So if the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I made this x1 and this y1 and this x2 and this y2. Okay, notice I just took the coordinates right off of the graph. Well, then I can put in the numbers. So y2 is 0. 0 minus y1 is 3.5. x2 is 7. x1 is 0. So I have negative 3.5 over 7. Now, I happen to know that I can simplify that to negative 1 over 2. So this slope is negative 1/2. So the formula, even though counting, I would say, is definitely easier, it's not always available. Okay? So if you have something like this where it's nice and clear and you can count, go ahead and use it. But if you end up with a graph that's a little bit funkier, use your formula. All right, go ahead and do your try problems, and I can't wait to see you guys again in class.